Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Living Colour's Corey Glover joins Soul Asylum tomorrow for a special performance at City Winery in Washington, D.C. I spoke with Glover in 2017 when he performed a Bill Withers tribute at the now-defunct Gypsy Sally's in Georgetown, breaking down his film roles like Platoon and Living Colour's funk metal hits like Cult of Personality. I'm here with the one and only Corey Glover. Hello. Pay tribute to the amazing Bill Withers. So before we dive into that event, you came to D.C. recently, too, for the opening of the Black History Museum, and you played with the Public Enemy and The Roots. Memories of that real quick.
That was amazing. You know, we actually have stuff in the museum. Living Colour has things in the museum. There's a bunch of stuff there, some lyrics and some gear and all kinds of stuff. And so we were very honored to be a part of the museum in some way, shape, or form. And then the play, you know, with the caliber of people like Public Enemy and The Roots, it was amazing. It was a great day. We were there all day. It was just amazing. I have yet to go to the museum itself to see the exhibit.
Right.
But I plan on taking my sons to see it and just to say, you know, your dad's in a museum.
That's so awesome.
Yes, your dad is a fossil, and he's in a museum.
You see these dinosaur bones over here? Your dad is one of them. No, come on, man.
Exactly.
You're still current because you're coming and playing with this so-called supergroup, the New Stew. Who will you be on stage with?
It's basically myself and Roosevelt Collier, who's an amazing lap steel player, amazing guy, and people from all these other bands, basically Ron Rico and Jared Stuff. All these people, you know, they played with Tedeschi Trucks, they played, you know, with the Five Blind. They played with a bunch of other bands. They're amazing players. It's just an amazing band of people who have a love of this particular record. And it's really about this record. Bill Withers Live at Carnegie Hall, which is just, you know, a seminal record, just in terms of the music that came out of it. You know, Grandma's Hands, Lean on Me, you know.
Ain't No Sunshine.
Ain't No Sunshine. You know, all these songs are still being played somewhere in the world. You know, for somebody as prolific as Withers, to know that he didn't start his career until he was 30, that he had a severe stutter, that he had to overcome, had severe stage fright, that, you know, that he had the presence of mind to say that this stuff is fleeting. So I'm going to go on the road. I'm going to put out these albums. I'm going to go home back to my factory job and keep working on my off time. And, you know, as a singer-songwriter, to play at Carnegie Hall so early in his career is amazing. And for it to be so amazingly beautiful, to hear some of these songs, it takes you back to a certain time, but it makes you feel good in the way that it was played. Matt Garrison playing drums. It was just amazing.
Definitely. And so you guys will be playing the Live from Carnegie Hall album start to finish. So if our listeners show up, they will hear Ain't No Sunshine, Use Me, Lean on Me. They'll hear everything, right?
They'll hear everything. They hear from the beginning to end. As it was played you know, I'm not going to do banter because I am in no way as smart as Bill Withers is and not as nearly as witty as he is. So I'm not going to do any of that stuff. All I'm going to do is sing. But it's an incredible time, and we have a really good time, and it's really just packed with stuff that it's just a good time. Come on down, you'll have a really good time.
Definitely. Do you remember when you were growing up in Brooklyn? Do you remember having, you know, spinning Bill Withers records in the house, or do you remember when you first heard him?
Hearing Bill Withers, you know, my parents would take us all, me and my brothers and sisters, on these road trips, and what was playing in the car was that record. There were these records that you could play, you know, autonomous from listening to the radio, but that was one of the 3 records that we played as we drove south. We were going to we're driving to some friend's house and some family's house, going to some party or something, that you listen to Bill Withers live at Carnegie Hall. You listen to there was Carlos Santana, Abraxas, and there was Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. Mm-hmm. Those 3 records are the reason why I do what I do. And it's the reason why I'm a singer. It's the reason why I'm in a band. It's the reason why I love music so much. Because 3 records.
Wow.
And listening to them in the car on drives with my parents.
That's so great. You mentioned a few seconds ago that, how Withers sort of got a late start, and, he had a factory job first and then sort of transitioned out of his day job and went into music. But
well, no, he didn't even transition out of his day job. He'd go on the road and then go back to his job.
Wow.
And he kept doing that for over 10 years. Like he had a factory job. He worked for, he was fixing, he was working on fighter planes. He was working on jets. He was, he worked on the factory line for a long time and didn't stop doing it while he was still working, while he was still a superstar.
It's so amazing. Well, you almost went down a different path as well, right? You started out wanting to be an actor, and I remember you in how was working with Oliver Stone in Platoon?
It was fun. It was, it was work. It was like that was some of the hardest work up to date that I had to do,
Yeah.
And but think about the people that came out of that movie.
God, Johnny Depp, Forrest Whitaker.
Charlie Sheen came out of that movie. Johnny Depp came out of that movie. Forrest Whitaker came out of that movie.
Willem Dafoe.
All these. I'm sorry?
Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger.
Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger, Keith David. All these people were young, hungry actors at the time, and now look at them. They are the quintessential actors of our time.
So great.
And it's the fact that Stone had the forethought to see that these people, these groups of people, had enough talent, had more than enough talent to pull off his vision. What can you say? There it is.
Not to mention launching his career too.
Right.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you did pick the music route. Was it true that your eventual Living Colour guitarist saw you singing "Happy Birthday" and that's how the transition happened?
Yes. I was at this girl I was dating at the time. I think we stopped dating at that point. But she invited me to a birthday party. They wheeled out a cake, this beautiful cake, and everyone was getting ready to sing "Happy Birthday." She says, "Nope. I want him to sing Happy Birthday to me." All right. Me? You talking to me? Oh, okay. So I sang Happy Birthday. And Vernon and I struck up a conversation. And, the rest, as they say, is history.
Absolutely. Speaking of history, now that we have the hindsight of sort of looking back on Living Colour's place and all that, and that you played it and you're in the museum and all that stuff.
Right, I'm a fossil, yes.
Yeah, just talk about how groundbreaking you guys were with that funk metal. I mean, people can still rock out to that today. I love it.
It's the idea that what we were doing was basically taking all the things, Miles Davis's Bitches Brew and Bill Withers. That's what Living Colour is. That's the essence of what Living Colour is. It is a rock band with that plays soul and has a conscience, and it's sometimes it's very jazz-like situations, but it's all cerebral. That's what we were doing, and it was natural to us. That's what you do because that was our frame of reference. So we would take all the stuff that we had, we'd take all the things that we listened to, and all the things that we appreciated about music, and turned it into our own experience. And that's what it sounded like. It sounded kind of funky. It sounded it was kind of hard. It was kind of stuff that you bopped your head to. It's kind of stuff you kind of thought about. When you listen to the lyrics, you go, you scratch your head. You go, that's a very interesting thought.
Absolutely. And still relevant.
Absolutely.
Probably you get asked this all the time, but where'd you guys come up with Cult of Personality, man? That was your big Grammy breakthrough, and that song, man, you can still be that thing. They'd still play that in wrestling shows.
As of about 3 years ago, it was still played like it was a top 100 single.
Wow.
All around the world. But basically, co-personality is what Joseph Stalin said is a term coined by Joseph Stalin, and the idea that you can which is also really true. I mean, the world we live in says it that all you need to have is a mythos about you, and you become whatever. There's John F. Kennedy. There's a mythos about Hitler. There's a mythos about even somebody as obscure as, I don't know, Paris Hilton. She has a cult of personality.
Well, and that's what I just think keeps that song, like you said, in rotation and relevant. I mean, and it applies to good, bad, left, right. It can be anything, like all the people you just mentioned. I mean, Obama had a cult of personality. Trump has a cult of personality. It crosses.
Absolutely.
It applies. So speak how that's relevant here as we come off inauguration weekend here in D.C. You're going to be playing in D.C. It's got to have a little extra social commentary to it.
Yeah. But anytime that we do this song or any other song, you got it sort of talks about the world we live in. And we live in a very interesting times. Like what that proverb says, may you live in interesting times. And can't say that we don't. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time. Before you hop off here, just tell our listeners why they should come out. One final sell. Man, maybe they love Bill Withers or love you in Living Color, and now they get to kind of see it combined.
Yeah, it's a good time, and it's a really intimate setting. The band is really compelling. The music is really good. Come check it out, and we'll hang out before or after, and we can talk about it if you like.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you joining us, Corey Glover. Thank you so much for joining us. This was great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.